So basically it came to, which is actually pretty good. So last year I converted my first camper van into a small camper, and today I'm going to tell you exactly how much that cost me. I'm going to go through everything from the vehicle price to everything I bought and the mistakes I made along the way. And trust me, there was definitely a good few where I could have saved some money. So I'm just going to break it down and be transparent. I also just want to let you know that I did this all myself. It's my first time actually like cutting up pieces of wood and actually building things and putting it all together. So yeah, I'm just going to keep this video really casual because we're just actually having a chat about how much it cost. And I've scribbled out some figures on my notebook here just before recording this. But yeah, anyway, starting off with the actual cost of the vehicle itself. Now, I knew I wanted something a bit smaller, like a medium-sized van, because I've never driven a huge vehicle before, and I was like, oh, I feel like this is a good size to start off with for my first one, and I can get into car parks and those things, like with the barriers on that. So yes, I wanted a diesel van. I wanted to make sure it was a reliable type of van and also low mileage. So I ended up getting a Citroen Dispatch van 2017 with 50,000 miles on it, and it cost me 9.5 grand. So yeah, 9.5 grand for a good base, which had one previous owner on it and full service history. So I knew exactly kind of like what I was getting with all the service history and very low mileage. I knew that it'd be a van that could do me for a good couple of years. So that was a van, and then getting into the rest of the actual build stuff. Now, going through this, I'm also going to say like how much I actually spent and how much I think I could have spent if I wasn't learning and making mistakes as well. Because yeah, mistakes cost me money. But like at least I know for like the next one that I build, I'll not have to do these mistakes. And maybe if you listen to this and you hear where I made my mistakes, you'll maybe not make these mistakes. So yeah, starting off with number one, which was the insulation. I spent a total of £130-ish. These are estimates, so roughly £130 for insulation, when I really think I could have spent only £60 on insulation. And the reason that I made this mistake, and honestly, like I should know this, like I should have like thought about this like with my job and that. But anyway, yeah. I made a mistake in the fact that I got rigid insulation. So rigid insulation is a hard board, and I should have just got like the wool insulation, like soft insulation that could be squeezed into the parts of the van that you can't really with a rigid board. Because actually, if you do think about it, how is a rigid board going to be able to fit into all the corners of the van and that? So my advice there is don't get rigid board insulation for your van. Just get like the wool soft insulation, because it's actually a lot more usable, and the rigid insulation was basically wasted. Like it's still actually just sitting out in the garage. So yeah, be careful with that one. Then for the vapor barrier and sound deadening was actually really good. I noticed a difference in the actual sound in the space as soon as that was put in. So that was really good. I just actually ordered that from Chimu. I think I ordered some of that from, and then the vapor barrier from B&Q. So I'm just going to say the total for both of them came to about £50. No mistakes were made there, so that was okay. Then for my tools and fixings. So the main tool, the tool that I basically used the whole way through this build, like for everything from cutting metal to cutting the wood, was a jigsaw. I love that tool. And luckily, like there was one out in the garage, so I didn't need to buy a jigsaw. I didn't have any tools to begin with. So I'd bought plenty of, say, angle kind of brackets and those things, and kind of like a pocket something. I'm going to put it in on the screen because I can't remember the name of it, but something for creating pocket holes that were allowing you to basically put the wood together and create furniture. It was really useful, and you feel like I can make like any type of furniture now with that. So I'm just going to say all the tools that I got and fixings came to about £400 approximately. But definitely for a van, the best tool, well, the tool that you will probably use the most if you're a beginner, is going to be a jigsaw and the pocket puncher thing that I'll put in on screen as well. So yes, about £400 for them, and then we move on to the glues and paints. So you do actually like spend a good bit in these. Like you need to get your paint to protect the metal, you need to get plenty of glues, then also your like varnish and your dyes and that for the wood. So I'm gonna say all that came to about £250. Then we move on to the plywood. So the plywood that I used for the floor to put down the base in the van, and then the plywood that was for actually building the furniture. So my wine rack area and like the desk area, and that came to, well, I made mistakes here because it was my first time actually building. So I would say this cost me about £400 in total. Because obviously it's my first time building like furniture essentially. So yeah, there was mistakes like made along the way, and like the first one was like a practice one in that, which I do think is good to give yourself a practice one to kind of allow this one to be a mess and then work on making it good the next one, you know, or like get your kind of practice with it. So £400 including my mistakes, and if we're now for where I feel that I am and wouldn't be making them mistakes, I'd say it could have been £250. So that's the plywood. Moving on then to the vinyl floor. I saw that you can get vinyl floors in B&Q, and like it could maybe have cost me £80, but doing architecture, oh, one sec. Sorry, yeah, so I was saying, so like doing architecture and being a weirdo of design and how things actually look, and I wanted basically the floor to reflect light and help create the space to look better. So my vinyl floor was like £300. Yeah, I could have got a cheaper one, but I wanted a good, nice looking one that would reflect light the way I wanted it to. Then for, what is this? So the fabric sheeting, I don't know if I'm saying this right. I'll need to like put in the name for this as well. But it's basically the grey fabric that I've going around the van. And the glue for that. That was actually like surprisingly cheap. I got that off eBay, and I'd say that came to about £70 in total. A really good fabric, and yeah, if you take your time with it, it can look amazing. Just do take your time with it and go slow. The mattress for my van, so I got a double mattress, memory foam, and cut it up into the kind of sections that I would need for the bed. So I got that off Amazon, and that cost £80. And then the next thing is for the fabric and the cushion covers for the mattress. I wish I could do this myself, but I know like that, I feel like building the actual van I could do and take on, but when it comes to fabric and doing cushion covers now, I don't think that was really my kind of area of expertise yet or anything. So I did pay someone to do that. And that cost about £300 for the fabric and the cushion covers to be made. For something like that, and where it's like one of the main things that people see in the van, I'd rather just pay someone to get that actually done neatly. Whenever I knew that it wasn't something that I could really, well, it's not something I would really want to pick up, to be honest. And then for the ceiling panels in my van, this is when everything started to change. And whenever I was sharing the process, like on Instagram, people started to be like, whoa, like this is starting to look really cool now. So they definitely kind of game changed the van, like bringing it from this level to this level. So they cost in total about £250. It's quite annoying because I had to buy 3 sets and say they were like £70 each or whatever, and I only needed like this much off the third packet, but I had to buy basically the whole packet to be able to get it, which is quite annoying because there's a lot of it wasted. But that came to £250. So worth it, but like so heavy actually. And I think there actually is cheaper, lighter ones, because the ones I have are acoustic panels and they just seem quite heavy, and I think there is a more decorative one available that is lighter, that you can maybe save some money on as well. So I would look into that if you're thinking of getting them. Then for the lights that I have in the van, that came to about £50 just off Amazon. And then the window, so I did end up putting a window in my van. I think that was just like £110 off Amazon as well. So that was okay for like a window for the van. And then the electrical system. So yeah, everybody knows the electrical system would be one of the parts of the van that would cost the most money. So yeah, that for the DC battery pack and then all the electrical equipment came to about 1,200, maybe 1,300, but I ended up getting that gifted, so I didn't have to spend that money on it, thankfully. So I was really grateful for that, and it's an amazing piece of equipment as well. I'll link them below. But yeah, so that's basically everything that I've spent on in the van and talking through my mistakes. So definitely like things like insulation, stupid mistake. Plywood, making your mistakes there for your first time doing it. I think just know that like if it is your first time doing it, you probably are going to make some wee mistakes, and just like allow for that, and like it's okay to like let yourself practice and making some and to get good at it. So yeah, I'm going to calculate up how much this actually costs now, and we will see. Okay, so I've worked it out here, and this is actually my first time actually sitting down and figuring it out as well. So here we are. So the van with the cost of what I spent, including my mistakes, came to £11,890. So that's how much I basically spent for my van, the build and the purchase of the van. I did also calculate how much it was if I had to buy the electrics as well, because I got them for free. But if I was to have spent the money on the electrics, it would have cost in total £13,190. And then so just actually as well what I spent on the actual build, so like not including the cost of the van and not including the electrics because I didn't have to pay for that. So basically it came to 2,390, which is actually pretty good, I think, and considering that like that would have been lower if I didn't make these mistakes, which hopefully you guys won't make any mistakes in yours, but you probably will because mistakes are normal. But yeah, I hope you find this video fun and insightful, I guess. And yeah, there's lots of hidden costs in vans, like, and doing it up. And your mistakes and the tools and the fixings and the screws and the glues. But yeah, it's such a fun process and I love doing it. And I cannot wait to do my next one or next project someday. So yeah, thanks.